I would say in two ways. The first is that when you have such a seismic shift, you have immediately a need for coordination between France and the US, and this need is only partly met by the increase in direct communication between capitals. So it's the challenge for the expert, for the consular at the embassy, is to make sure that there is a clear view in the US on French policy and a clear view in France on US policy, and that there is no unwanted differences between both. The second impact on my work was that the Arab Spring generated a very wide debate in Washington, inside and outside of the administration, on policy towards the Middle East and on what Europe and specifically France is doing there. So it's quite important that we are able to present our positions in this debate, and again, not only to the administration but also in think tanks, in Congress, and to journalists. Look, I think the frustration is very widely shared, given the appalling situation in Syria, the rise in the number of dead, wounded, people missing as well. And so we're working with the Security Council members to see how we can break the stalemate in New York. But we're also working with the Arab League, with the Syrian opposition, with Turkey and other partners to see how we can help accelerate the transition in Syria and put an end to the bloodshed. I would say that our history, through its good and bad days, and also our geography, have produced very strong ties between France and most Middle Eastern countries. Human, social, economic, cultural ties. Most of these countries are a few hours flight away from Paris. And so we really feel that we have a shared future, a shared destiny with these countries. But we are not in the business of giving lessons, and I think recent history has taught us two things. First, we are not going to get there to this shared future if we don't build a real partnership. And the second lesson from recent history is that it is a false choice to think that there is on the one hand stability and on the other hand democracy. We have learned that ultimately you're always better off supporting democracy. I'd like them to know that that the cooperation is historically good between us, and it's really not a diplomatic diplo talk. You can have tactical differences, and that's quite natural given the spectacular increase in diplomatic activity over Middle Eastern issues. But the goals, the views on where we need to go are strikingly similar. We have worked together remarkably well on Libya, on the military intervention in Libya. We are in full agreement on the need and the way to support the Arab transitions. We have set up in Deauville, under our presidency of the G8 back in May, a specific partnership called the Deauville Partnership, and now it is the US as the new presidency of the G8 who is carrying this forward. We're also working together very closely on Iran, who, although not an Arab country, would love to hijack the Arab transitions and export its radical agenda. So really, when we take a step back, we can say that the unity of views and purpose is remarkable. I will not make any prediction. I wouldn't be a diplomat if I did, I guess. But I can make two comments. We are French, we know very well that the path between revolution and democracy can be long, bumpy and messy. And so we must not necessarily expect a smooth transition. As much as we are going to do everything we can to support it, we must be ready for sometimes difficult times. However, what we've also learned from our history is that once you put the genie of democracy out of the bottle, it's very, very difficult to get it back in. And over the long run, it's probably impossible.